Indiana Jones, Indiana It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones, Minute.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Indiana Jones Minute. It's your daily podcast in which we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate Indiana Jones and the kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I couldn't get through without stumbling 1 minute at a time. My name is Alex Robinson from StarWarsMinute.com.
I am Tom Taylor from IndianaJonesMinute.com.
Das Vidania, Dr. Taylor. I'm Pete Millard. I don't have a website.
And I'm the intern, Jerry Porter.
All right, guys, thanks for being here.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you for having us onto our show. It's very kind of you. We're excited to talk about Crystal Skull some more. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, exciting.
Really
This is an exciting scene. You gave me some great minutes.
We figured, your buddy Pete the retailer was on back in 1983 or something. It seems like now, and
Long time.
And he had a nice chunk of minutes, so we try to do the same for you. So you'll be our guest for a few weeks now. 2 or 3 weeks.
It'll feel like a few weeks.
Exactly. We're going to kick it off with minute 83, which begins with Mutt swinging through the trees on vines like a total 50s biker. And it ends with Spalko showing Dr. Jones how they say goodbye in Russia. You know what? I do have a thing to say about this at the very beginning.
What's that?
Honestly, about 2 years ago, I forget, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago? Star Wars Celebration Chicago. Alex, I was hanging out in some pizza joint or something with you and Pete the retailer and all these cool people. And I said, well, one of these days you're gonna have to be on Crystal Skull, and you're like, oh, I guess so. I'm okay. What minutes do you want? You're like, and I to this day, this was years ago, but I feel like you said you just thought like the first scene that came to your mind. I'm like, I guess when Mutt's swinging on the vines, I guess that'd be cool, right? I'm like, all right, it's yours. And my mind is a steel trap, and I've kept that for all these years. And here we
had
are.
A verbal
now.
contract. You were going to hold me to it. So.
Nice.
That's right. If we can get through these minutes, your life debt is fulfilled.
Well, I would have thought that everyone would be fighting for these minutes, for this minute of Mutt swinging on the vine.
I mean, I'm sure there's some people eating their hearts out, wishing they could have been you, but
It's kind
no,
of
you win.
Temple of Doom thing. Pulling out their own. Is it me or wasn't this scene? Didn't it famously have a Tarzan yell in it?
Oh, you're thinking of a
I
different
thought that
movie,
too,
Jerry.
but I think that was
Thinking
Star
of
Wars.
Tarzan.
Yeah, and Tarzan.
Okay, so Pete,
I think
what
that was
is-
Chewbacca.
That was
Like
Chewbacca.
I thought I was expecting that too, and I was like, wait, where was it? Where was it?
I was too.
And then I was like, oh crap, that was Chewbacca.
Wait, where's the sad bell? It's Chewbacca?
Yeah, in Return
Wrong
of the
show,
Jedi.
guys.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. I kept listening to this and I'm like, where's the Tarzan yell?
I did too.
Oh, that sucks.
That's funny.
I can't
did
tell if that's bad. Like, I think I was like, oh, they didn't do it. What good news. And then you
Right.
find out they did it with Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a shiv in the kidney.
I find it very
Back.
hard to believe that there's not like some version of this. Like they must have tried it and not done it. Like, well, of course he's going to do the Tarzan yell, right? He's swinging through the vines with a bunch of monkeys.
Well, yeah, I
right?
wouldn't have even had a problem if they did. I think because I hated the scene when I saw it in the movie theater, but I've kind of made peace with it because I feel like this does really throw back to the old pulps and the serials, and I think it's kind of fits the tenor of what these movies are about.
I guess maybe if he had, we knew that he can, he dropped the information that he took fencing before he gets into a sword fight with Spalko. So maybe if you were like, oh yeah, I climbed the rope fastest out of anybody in gym class in high school. Like if he had said that earlier, then you're like, okay, I can see how I could swing on vines like that. All right.
Do you really want more exposition of more backstory of how much can
No,
do?
but I do think part of what's weird about this is that he's like, God, that looks very, very physically hard.
It
I don't know
does.
how to, I wouldn't, I mean, I can't do half of the things they do in this movie, but I would not be able to hold on with one hand and swing to another one with the other hand. And no, forget it.
They have that down on Venice Beach. with the
Really?
bars, yeah, not the
God.
vines, and,
like monkey bars.
yeah, they have the bar, and it's it's a big long display of them, and there's like a whole I don't know, Pete, have you been down there?
Yeah, it's
It's like a whole, I don't know, I guess you'd call it like a culture or something. These people who go down there and like they sort of, I don't know what do they call it when you're in 4th grade? Tumbling. It's like, yeah, it's like they go down. It's like outdoor beach tumbling, and they have the monkey bars, and they have the all sorts of other. There's like a thing where people do handstands and headstands, and I don't know, but it's hard to do. It's very hard.
It's
to
really
do.
you have to have amazing grip strength. Like you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah,
work
Mutt
up
should
to
have
that.
been on Mutt should have been on Ninja Warrior with that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he
that
could have
arm
swept the
strength
whole
he's got
thing.
there.
He could have.
Yeah.
What kicks the monkeys out? Like going that direction? Why do they begin?
Yeah, and why does
I don't
Mutt
understand
follow
what
them?
It almost seems like he has like a power over them. Like he is now control. He's like the Monkey King. He controls the monkeys of the jungle.
To me, my monkeys.
Well, he does.
Take
He
me
has
to
that.
the chase.
Well, and he has that moment with the monkey in the minute before this, where he and the monkey just kind of stare at each other's eyes for a moment, and it's like as one of them
He
seems to be
asserted his
mesmerizing the
dominance.
other. Yeah.
I am Homo sapien. What are you gonna do?
I
so
think
they-
this.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to talk some more about the swinging because I think the reason I asked for this minute is because I just remember being very distinctly as the minute I was like, "Oh my gosh, this movie is terrible." Because when you were asking you remember the Tarzan, I thought you were going to ask if they cut this down for the Blu-ray because I remember the scene being like 15 minutes long of him swinging, but thankfully it
kinda
was
do
only
too.
like just barely a minute of it.
Yeah.
And but it did this come out before or after the Hobbit, the Peter Jackson Hobbit? Because it is the same sort of physical unreality to me. Like
Yeah.
this does not seem like at all this is something a person is doing. Like even if they had put
right.
in like close-up shots of him grunting or something to make you even I think when you see shots like this, your mind, it's almost like the uncanny valley of action because you know there's no way a human can be doing this. And there's no, even if there were, there's no way they could be filming this with a human doing it. So
Right.
you know
They
there's
got the camera up there.
your mind is just kind of like, all right, this is just like a Pixar movie or something like that. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's it just doesn't feel real. Like people do things and they land like Indiana Jones is 70 years old and he's like I sleep on my arm funny and I wake up and I'm sore all day. These guys are doing stuff that so
I reached for the cereal the other day. I reached into the cabinet and I went, ow. Like my back
your
just started
back
hurting
out,
because I was
reaching
reaching
for
for some cereal. Yeah.
But see, I think we discussed this before, but I feel like Indy has been granted better health than most humans because he drank out of the Grail.
I
I
guess
don't
so.
know.
Like
I don't know if that
he
was
may
the deal,
die,
though.
but I don't know if it was a deal either. But that's with my working hypothesis.
There could be some
But
residue.
that still doesn't explain
yeah.
why everyone around him also can do amazing feats. and stunts.
Right.
Well, unless you can
Yeah.
pass that on. Well, I guess Mutt was conceived before Last Crusade, though.
What do you
I
mean?
don't
Wait,
know.
wait, pass it on? You mean like spit down somebody's throat?
No, like genetically, like
Why is that
Like-
immediately how you go to passing it on? Spitting down somebody's throat.
Like a bird
What else are you
mother.
doing at Venice Beach?
Well, so does Mutt see the cars and he's like, I've got it. Like are the monkeys then? Hey, we've got a great idea. Let's intercept this caravan. And then Mutt's like, that is a great idea. Thank you, monkeys.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd come up with that because that's
I
exactly
think
what I
it's
need.
just coincidence. I think he
Okay.
was just going to run off to live with the monkeys, and then he just happened
Yeah.
to stumble across the
I'm a
the
monkey
cars
now.
again.
Yeah. Oh, there's the chase. I got to join my dad. Oh, well.
But yeah, why doesn't he do like a normal human being probably would and climb down to the ground carefully?
And
Yeah.
go help his father.
Yeah, or wait for his mom.
Wait, where is Marion?
I don't know.
She should be driving underneath him right about now.
I think Spalco may have actually killed her, like shot her with that machine gun, which is really sad because I like Marion.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
What? She's conspicuously
good run.
absent.
yeah, she is.
She is. And we find out a little bit later that a lot of people are conspicuously absent, but we'll get there.
I did not watch the previous minutes, but so who's in the car with Indy? You got Indy.
Oh,
You
don't
got
ask.
You got Oxley with the who used to be carrying the skull, and he's still cradling his arms like he has a skull.
Oh, yeah. And there's Mac,
which
who
is kind of
apparently
a
is
nice.
CIA.
That's a nice touch, actually. That Oxley is cradling it he's still holding the skull and it's not there.
Mhm.
Well, I was wondering,
It's-
is he keeping it safe with his mind? Is he like
Yeah.
protecting the
Oh.
skull?
Or is it like he's sort of acknowledging the void?
I think he's like an action figure. He's like an action figure without the accessory, so his arm is just curled in that way.
The skull rolled under the couch years ago and never found it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, you got like Spalko and a Russian in the one thing, which I guess I'll just call a car. I was calling it a Jeep, but it's more just like it's kind of just a car, isn't it? And then Indy is in the duck with Mac and Oxley.
and a Russian that they throw
And
out.
a Russian, yeah, that's right.
And the Russian jumps, Spalkos tries to knock him off the road, right? Knock him off the cliff.
Mhm.
And the Russian, jumps out of the passenger seat. And I love that. He crawls kind of through the duck and he jumps out the duck's ass and he just falls and saves himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love
Sensible.
that too.
It is. It's sensible, and it's kind of it's a nice way of being consistent with showing that Spalko will stop at nothing. There's several scenes or incidences where she's going to shoot her own people
Yeah.
or kill her own people.
It's funny you mentioned that, Jerry, because there's some stuff in the script or a couple little things, a couple little lines in the script that don't show up in the movie. Because in the movie, Mac says this is very dangerous, and that's all you get from him. In the script, he doesn't say that, but he yells over to Spalko when she starts trying to run them off the cliff. He first yells, "Leave off," and then she tries to slam him off the cliff a second time, and he yells, "Will you please stop?"
You're hitting our car.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
dangerously close to the side of the cliff. Leave us alone.
So I don't know if he's trying to signal to her that he's on her side, or if it's just, I don't know.
You know,
what it is.
all-
We're just like in Berlin,
Yeah.
right? Stop hitting us.
Well, this, we've been saying that this movie has the feel of the Indiana Jones ride, an Indiana Jones ride. And so now this scene has really cemented it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these
Yeah.
minutes, it's just like, okay, Pete, you mentioned sort of the tenor of the film. They've now committed to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was sort of up in the air, and now it's like, oh no, we're just having a nice, fun family frolicking romp.
Well, see, I hate that you always add family. It makes it like a kid. But because I
bring
feel like
family
if you look at it more like those Saturday morning serials that George and Stephen watched when they were kids, I think it's a little more fun.
Yeah,
Well,
but I never liked those
okay,
things. Those
I
things are
didn't-
boring and dumb and weak. And that's why they don't make them anymore.
Oh, okay.
Steven Spielberg and George Lucas made Raiders of the Lost Ark and made them really cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I
like they
think
made something cool based on those.
Yeah. It's like Star Wars. The trick with Star Wars is George Lucas took this junky stuff and took it seriously and tried
Yeah.
to make it like
Yeah.
that's the thing is I guess once you start winking again, then it kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird
Yeah.
that he went the same direction with both Indiana Jones and Star Wars. It's like it's like, well,
you want to ruin everything for everyone.
yeah, yeah, there's that. But then he also seems to be going back closer to the original source material rather than making it something new.
But
Yeah.
but it's, I don't know, those.
All right?
Those, no, I mean those kind
Scatting
of.
all of a sudden.
It's like if you wanted to, make a mobster movie that took place, let's say not in the 1930s, maybe and everybody went like, say a dame with gams, you say, like.
Yeah. It's like if Al Pacino was doing that in Scarface.
Yeah,
That's
Al
how he sounded.
Pacino.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you're like,
That's
well,
quite
in
for
fact,
you, Robert Loggia.
Did you say
doing
gams or did you say yams?
yeah. Say hello to my little friend. See?
Yeah, see? Not that little, see? Sarcasm.
Now, if my friend Roxy was in the oven,
You might,
But I
Rabbit, you might.
how would I do this? Oh, come on, a Bugs Bunny.
But if you made Scarface that was a modern version of that and set it in the modern era, and then you ran out of ideas, maybe your next movie would do that.
Yeah, I guess so. Gosh, really?
I don't know.
That's
I don't.
sad.
He just seems like he's regressing. Like
All right, look.
There was something-
He's having trouble distancing himself from the original stuff. Like the
Are you talking about Lucas or
campiness.
Spielberg or both?
Well, I guess Lucas, but he seems to be the driving force for some of this. But maybe Spielberg too. I don't know.
Oh, I think Spielberg's backseat not driving is a major force with this.
Yeah.
I think he was kind of
Yeah.
checked out, and I know it's like I wasn't there. I'm a dumb fan. I don't know anything, but that's kind of the sense I get from it. You know,
If
to
you-
hear
you
me even
know,
talk about it, he's like,
you-
whatever.
if you
Indiana
And they were leaning into it with the whole 50s Saucerman thing, even though they didn't
Yeah.
end up going with that.
Yeah.
look, if you choose frolic, then this is fine.
Yeah.
All right.
That's I mean, if you're,
Are you reading that off the DVD cover?
Yeah. File it under frolic if you want to, I guess. Hey, it just occurred to me: is the guy jumping off the back of the duck, the Russian? Is that a callback to the guy who freaks out in Close Encounters when the big mothership shows up and he runs into the porta potty and he shows past Roy?
He's a
Like, I'm
stand-in
outta
for the
here.
audience at this point.
Right, get me off this thing.
I can see where this is going. Well, so let me talk about Kate Blanchett for a second.
Sure, please
Uh-huh.
do.
She is like one of these. She's like Willem Dafoe, like a serious actor who also is certainly willing to dabble in genre stuff. Like she was Hela in Hella Good in Thor Ragnarok,
She was.
and obviously here she is in Indy. She has not been in a Star War yet.
I can see that easily happening, can't you?
Yeah. I mean, they basically took her character in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and made it into an Imperial officer in, I think, Rebels. There's basically a character
that's right.
based on her.
Yeah.
yeah.
So she's like halfway there. But anyway, that's I like Kate Blanchett. How do you guys feel about Kate Blanchett generally?
Generally, I
I
love her.
really like her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
great. And
I'm
you
not-
know,
Yeah.
well, we talk about how she's drawn in this and what she's given. I don't blame Kate Blanchett for that. I think if you're going with frolic and she does a great job. I guess.
I guess.
Well, it's kind of like John Hurt, right? He's like amazing, but they just they stick him in the middle of the stuff, and you're like, well, he
Yeah.
does a good job.
Yeah.
It's just it's incoherent. It's just incoherent.
Yeah.
It's
What do you
interesting
think
to me
of
that-
her in this specific movie, Alex?
I don't remember having any beef with her.
Okay.
So I guess I thought she was okay. I feel like she was almost like the wig is like half the battle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting that in the other movie, this movie has a lot of name actors in it. Whereas the other movies generally they didn't have the bad guy in like Last Crusade is not like an A-list actor. He's General Veers and so on. So
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's if that's good or bad. If it's laziness on the part of them, just saying, hey, why don't we just have that person play that? You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
I don't know. Or
It does-
or what the deal is, or if that
There
makes any
is-
difference at all.
There is something about when people show up in Steven Spielberg movies, like since, I don't know, 1989 or something, I'm always slightly annoyed. Like, I'm like, oh, they're
Cameos
like,
and stuff.
not even just cameo. Like Jim Broadbent is in this movie, and something about him being in this movie is annoying to me because I love Jim Broadbent, and there's like a little nerve in me that goes like, oh, Steven Spielberg can get anybody he wants. So he got Jim Broadbent, and he got John Hurt, and he got Kate Blanchett, and he just and I know that doesn't make any sense. Of course he would do that. Of course he would cast it with cool people, but
Yeah.
but you're right. Like with Raiders and Temple of Doom and Last Crusade, that wasn't what he was doing. He was kind of like, oh, let's get the cool people for this role. And it's not so
Let's
much
go
like
back
a
and
Hollywood party or
recast.
something.
Let's go back and recast Raiders, but like say, oh, Ned Beatty would have played maybe whatever the
He'd be
every
he'd
part
be
would have been.
Pat
Want to go talk to
Roach.
God, Mr. Luthor?
Jack Nicholson is tote.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I can kind of see
Yeah.
that.
Think they, what
yeah,
about
none of the Nazis are like known people.
Yeah. But
They
they're
would
all
have had
awesome.
to get what's his name? Chris. What's that guy's name from all the Quentin Tarantino movies? Waltz.
Oh yeah, Waltz. Yeah,
He would have had
Waltz.
to play a Nazi at some point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He would have
in
been
one of these
good.
things.
He would have been good. He could be a good Belloc actually.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
It's beautiful, say.
Karen Allen would be Megan Fox. Would play Marion.
Yeah.
Could
Maybe,
have kept Shia
Alfred
as
Molina
Indy.
would come back as a Molaram, maybe.
Yeah.
No, you can't have that.
I guess not.
A, that's racist. And B, how would you explain it? That they're twin brothers who just happen to be in.
Sure.
One was in. I guess you're right.
I mean, yeah. We're talking George
My mistake.
Lucas here.
Yeah. right. It was all about twins.
I did have a question talking about the guy, Pete, the guy who jumps off, and he sort of, I guess, lands and survives. It's what do you think what becomes of him, Pete?
We're in like South America, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where does he go from here? Like, Spalkas keep going, all the trucks are away. He now has, he's completely independent now.
See, I think this is a occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge situation. Is he jumps off, he has like 3 minutes of just pure bliss, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go down here and I'm
a
join
living
this,
man.
indigenous group of people, and I'm gonna live this wonderful life. And all of a sudden, and
falls in love as a family.
Yeah, everything, and then right then that next truck with Dovchenko comes by and runs him over.
Spoilers for occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge.
What are the occurrence at Atacama Creek Ridge?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, but I did. So let's say that guy survives, and it's not just a dream. It made me think: are there any Nazis from the Raiders truck chase who lived?
Oh yeah.
Were there any who lived?
There were a couple of guys who fall badly,
Yeah, a couple of
but they're
guys
probably
fell
not
off.
dead.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one guy does the sideways somersault?
Yeah. Yeah.
He does this
That,
speaking
half
of
sow cow or whatever.
Yeah, it's like talking about tumbling.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that move is. It's like he creates an O and then rolls himself down the hill.
It's like he's doing a sideways somersault with his arms and legs sticking out or something.
Yeah.
It's awful. It looks very painful.
But yeah, that guy survived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Not all
are
of
you
them are
asking
so
if did they have a reunion of all the people who
Yeah.
got their
Sound
butts
off.
kicked by Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
To start a little caravan back to Cairo.
Well,
Get drunk.
we get the end of this scene. We get the close up, right? A close up of Tommy. Go ahead and say it.
Das Vidanya, Dr. Jones. Or how did she do? Jones.
No,
Dr. Jones.
Yeah, Dr. Jones.
She has a hard time with that.
Yeah.
Alex, how does that land for you?
I don't know. It seems just like another corny, I'm a bad guy about to say something cool before I blow you away kind of thing. Like, it doesn't, it barely registers.
I think it's somewhat solid.
Yeah.
I mean, I was complaining about her unnecessary Jones yell a while ago, but I think this is it's something that the bad guy Russian would say to the good guy right before she tries to kill him finally.
It's very James Bondy.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like that she respects that he's a doctor, that she calls him Dr. Jones and not just, American
True.
Pig Dog or
Yeah.
something.
And
Right.
we should point out for everybody who is going to call us old cranks who can't handle like the new stuff, Belloc, when he thinks he's saying goodbye to Dr. Jones for the last time, says adieu. He says goodbye in French. She says goodbye in Russian.
Mhm.
It's all
Oh.
solid.
Yeah.
Good point.
Hmm?
Huh.
Wait,
No,
are
that
you
was fun.
anyway?
It's
Like in the
turtles
Well
all
of
way
Souls.
down.
They're going to seal up the Well of Souls. And
Yeah.
he says, Indiana Jones, adieu.
Yeah.
Who are you theoretically what argument are you theoretically defending against?
Oh, that like as we complain as we do about this movie and like the goofiness and things like that. there's
Oh, I
the
see.
counter argument that, you accepted that stuff in 1984 in Temple of
Mhm.
Doom because you were 13, but now you don't like it so much in the newer stuff.
I'm familiar with
which
the
is
phenomenon of which you speak.
exactly. Yes, I'm sure you know, and it's not invalid. There's something to that,
Yeah.
and I accept that. But
Mhm.
that's the reality we're living in. I don't like it in this one. There. But here, I'll say something positive. Alex, you were just talking about the just inherent fakery of the jungle swinging and stuff. This cliff driving is clearly just as fake. It's completely
Yeah.
fake. But
Yeah.
there's still, I think maybe it's just the nature of having moving vehicles on the edge of a cliff. There's still that kind of visceral, like, kind of,
Yeah.
every time they almost go off the thing, it still kind of gets me. So that's
Yeah.
still fairly effective.
What?
Yeah.
That's what's tough is there's, as we've said last week, I believe, there are scenes that are beautifully shot, and the cinematography in some, the way the scenes are framed, with like lighting behind, like Spalco, drives away from like a week or two ago, and she has the
Mhm.
skull, and she's kind of like backlit, and it's striking. They do some things really well visually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't, like Alex said, it is Pixar-y at times.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's a well constructed canvas, I guess. A well
Well, I
constructed
mean,
picture.
Steven Spielberg and his crew, they're all professionals. They're not going to deliver
Right.
an ugly,
Mm-hmm.
ugly finished product. So it's definitely going to be slick when it's done. There's no,
Yeah.
yeah,
They're all
but yeah,
talented
you're right. I
people,
agree.
but
There are some,
the end
I
product
saw
is shoddy.
that Ready Player One, that Steven Spielberg movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw
And,
that.
that was I could not sit through that. It had the same
I can
like
understand
it's obviously it makes more sense that it has a less of a physical reality because it is set in a virtual reality.
Right.
But,
Mhm.
Right.
But I think even that happening made me not care what was going on because it seemed so Anyway,
Yeah.
different
something
movie
to
by
that.
minute. We'll have to wait till you guys get to that one. After
Oh,
you
we did
finish
it
this
already
one.
on our Patreon show.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Really?
Which you can find at patreon.com/Indiana Jones Man. No, I kind of like that movie, Ready Player One, but it took me a while. It is
Okay.
a very kind of light, just sort of, it's kind of nothing there in a way, but it's
I read the
enjoy it enough.
book.
Yeah.
Which also irritated me, but the movie irritated me way more. And you think it would be the opposite. You think getting to see all these nostalgic things would be better than reading about them. But I almost found it like too much. Like
Mm.
it was like eating like a pizza covered in corporate IP. It was just like
Right.
like I just need a break for a second to but
If
again, I'm
half
an
an
old
hour of the
person.
movie was actually the main character reenacting war games beat by beat,
Mhm.
then I would have enjoyed the movie more. And if there was more rush and more joust.
I wish more movies would take place in the Ready Player One verse, but you'd only find out that in the last frame of the movie where the main character took off their goggles and was like, "Whoa, wow!"
Well, they should just
or
do
whatever.
edits of every existing movie like that.
Uh-huh.
Like you're watching
yeah,
Star
totally.
Wars, and at the end you're like, "Oh my gosh, I was Luke Skywalker the whole time. That was awesome. I blew up the Death Star."
I remember watching that, and I was like, maybe the first half hour, 20 minutes or something. I'm like, that's absolutely Columbus, Ohio. I don't like that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Oh, that's where the stacks are, right?
Yeah, that's where
they
like
live,
that.
yeah.
I was kind of blown away at the vision of the future. I was like, oh, totally, it's gonna be Columbus.
I can see that happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Speaking of Columbus, Ohio, where
Oh.
Professor Christy Porter did a postdoc
Hey.
Hey!
at the Ohio State University. This just in from Professor Christy Porter, a former Buckeye. Don't tell my father because we're a Michigan family.
She probably knows. I'm
I
guessing.
think he hasn't
Okay.
let on yet. But,
All right.
what was the most expensive scene to film so far?
Oh.
Boy, she got a little bit of economical on us.
really?
Yeah, a little economic. That's a tough one.
I bet it
Those
was
monkeys, not cheap to get all those monkeys.
Yeah,
well,
fake
she says
monkeys
she
are not
thinks
cheap.
it's this one. She said, "Think of all, think of all the SAG wages."
It is. I mean, yeah, I would assume that scenes with like the least amount of actual stuff in them. It's all just like.
See, I would
don't
have
know.
guessed
Does
the
it make it
opposite. I would have
cheaper?
guessed like
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Connecticut
Yeah.
would have been the most expensive. Like,
Oh
all the
yeah, you got to
people in
rent
the-
out New Haven and stuff.
Yeah, then you got to
Right,
make
right.
it over, and then you got to hire all the extras and all the.
Yeah.
Those are the only scenes that have a bunch of extras, aren't they?
Then you get ripped off by all those toughs, all those
Yeah.
biker gangs and stuff. And
Yeah.
You know, maybe there's somebody on our listeners' crusade who has some insight into this. I wonder, like, as you said, is like having a full cast and crew with the people and extras. Is that normally more expensive versus like, I guess CGI and somebody there with all the industrial light and magic, you know, fancy stuff. I wonder.
Well,
I
our
wonder
buddy
what is-
Steven worked at Elstree. I bet he would have an idea.
Yeah,
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the real stuff.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, you ever watch, at the end of a movie, which Tommy, you always make me do. I always, every time I see a movie with you, I have to watch what is it, Panavision at the end or whatever.
Yeah. You never know. Something cool might happen.
But when you look at, especially in the last 15 years, when they get to animators,
Yeah.
or
Right,
like
yeah,
CG
digital
or like
effects.
digital
That's true.
effects, exactly.
Yeah, they're like
It's just-
500
yeah.
people.
Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. So maybe that is more expensive. I don't know.
Although I do know, like Pixar, famously, I think they were the first ones that, for when in the closing credits, they listed every single person that worked at the company. Like if you
Yeah.
worked in the cafeteria or you worked on janitorial staff, you made your name was in the credits.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I
We
like
were
that.
we were just discussing this over on Star Wars Minute.
I was going to
think
say,
we-
yeah.
And because if anyone, like none of the orchestra members individually get credited, but the
yeah.
VP of marketing for the visual effects company did get mentioned. That seems like
Yeah.
totally wrong.
Yeah, that
somehow, but-
sucks. Yeah, like first trumpet. No one's ever going to know who that was, but
Yeah.
Right.
and that's the
But
first
he's
that-
actually in
yeah.
the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't seem quite right.
Oh, that's a great point.
It's
Yeah.
crazy what they credit these days.
Well, I think we have reached the end credits of minute 83. Alex, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
I would assume that most people know where to find you, but why don't you tell them anyway?
I am most known as the co-host of the Star Wars Minute, where we do to the Star Wars movies what you guys are doing to the Indiana Jones verse over here. So if people want to check out the show, go to StarWarsMinute.com, or you can find it wherever you get podcasts. Again, there needs to be a term for that. Instead of saying wherever you get podcasts, there should be a term. You can
Yeah.
get it at every blank.
Yeah.
Pod get it. Yeah. Pod
What?
hub.
I asked on Twitter, what do you call that? And I got 1,000 different answers. Everyone knows it's
boy.
Podbean, which seems like,
What?
I don't know.
All right. Sounds
You know,
gross,
that's a
but
funny
okay.
place.
Well, and we should say it's Star Wars Minute. They're the Henry Jones Sr.
That's
to
true.
this movie by minute franchise.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're
You
the
called
one
the
to blame.
dog Indiana Jones, man.
Beautiful. Well, thank you and curse you for making us do this. No, we're having a great time. And yeah, you've been excellent. I was going to say Godfathers, but that's a different show that you're also on. You can plug that next time. But please, speaking of next time, will you come back next time for minute 84?
I don't want to miss out on any more monkey swinging. I know there's more coming up.
All right, everyone, we're going to keep swinging. Everyone out there, you keep swinging, and please join us next week for minute 84 of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Do something funny, Tommy.
Let me think. I'm going to do something funny. Something funny that's
Do it,
related
Tommy,
to what
do
we were
it.
talking about. Some
I'm ready
kind
to
of
laugh.
callback.
I'm ready to laugh.
Let's see. A guy jumped off a thing. I don't know. She's a Dasadanya.
Yeah, Mutt
Nope.
swinging around.
Mutt
Full
swings.
sword.
Yeah.
Do the
monkeys.
Chewbacca Tarzan yell. Let me hear
Oh
it.
yeah,
Okay,
there you
well,
go.
All right.
That was
It's kind of what it
weirdly
sounds
good.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Alex,
It's a
what did
great-
you guys do? Were you able to proceed after you saw that?
Well, thankfully, I guess it was like maybe 2/3 of the way through Revenge of the Sith. So, oh no, wait a minute, it wasn't in Revenge of the Sith. It was in Return of the Jedi. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that was the least of the problems with Return of the Jedi.